So I've been really curious about trying to understand, to really understand what's the difference between freehold properties and leasehold properties. And I'm gonna ask ChatGPT what exactly is the difference. Hey Chat, what's the difference?
Sure. So a freehold property means you own the land and the building indefinitely. It's yours, and there's no time limit. A leasehold property, on the other hand, means you own the building, but for a fixed period, often 99 years, after which the ownership reverts back to the original landowner. Leasehold properties can sometimes be cheaper, but they also may come with additional costs and restrictions as the lease shortens.
How much will you need to pay on average for the renewing of the lease, and at what point do you renew the lease? Like, I understand that a leasehold property has about 100 years, and at which year do you renew it?
The cost of renewing a leasehold property in Malaysia varies widely depending on land value, size, and location. For example, in Selangor, premium can be calculated as a quarter times 1/100th times the land's market value per square foot, multiplied by the number of years to renew and the land area. For instance, a 4,500 square foot bungalow in Petalinjaya had a reported renewal cost of about 53,200 ringgit. Typically, it's best to renew well before the lease drops below 30 to 50 years, since financing and price has become riskier.
Whoa, okay. And okay, that's a bungalow, but what about let's say 1,000 square feet condo?
For a 1,000 square foot condo lease renewal in Selangor, an example calculation uses a land value of 150 ringgit per square foot, with 20 years left and a target of 99 years total. Using the formula, the premium would be about 29,625 ringgit, and if a 30% rebate applies, it would be about 20,737 ringgit. Keep in mind exact costs depend on your state, and often a building's management handles the process.
Whoa, so that's on 150 per square feet calculation condo. What if does it matter if the price per square feet is higher?
Yes, it does matter. The renewal premium is tied to the current market value of the land, so if the price per square foot is higher, your overall premium will also increase. Essentially, the higher the land value, the more you'll pay for the lease extension.
Whoa.
So if your condo sits on a higher value piece of land, expect a proportionally larger premium.
And for this premium, is it like a one-off premium that you have to pay, or can you convert it into payment plans, and how does that work?
From what I found, lease renewal premiums for leasehold properties in Malaysia are usually a one-time lump sum payment. The amount is calculated based on factors like the land value per square foot and the number of years remaining, and it must be fully paid before the new lease term is registered. There's no standard option for installment payments, though you may want to check state-specific policies or agreements, since these can vary.
So what if you don't pay? What happens to the property if you don't pay?
If you don't pay the lease renewal premium for a leasehold property in Malaysia, the ownership reverts to the state authority once the lease expires. This means you lose your legal rights to the property, making it impossible to sell, mortgage, or secure financing. If you apply after the lease ends, you might have to start a new application and pay a premium similar to buying the land again, with no guarantee of approval.
Wow, okay. And so what would you advise someone who is looking to buy a leasehold property? Like, what are the things that they should look out for?
If you're thinking about buying a leasehold property in Malaysia, there are a few key things to check. first look at how many years are left on the lease. Ideally, you want 80 or more. Also, check the history of lease renewals, since that premium can be substantial. Make sure you know the ground payment, service fees, and that your financing will hold up if the lease shortens. And remember, shorter leases can hurt resale value, so factor that risk in.
Okay. And as compared to a freehold property, I would suppose a freehold, there's nothing to worry about the minute you get it transferred to your name. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right. With a freehold property, once it's fully transferred to you, you own it indefinitely. There's no looming lease expiry, no renewal premium, and no risk of reversion to the state. So it's a long-term peace of mind. Once you have it, it's yours for as long as you want.
Okay, cool. Thanks. So that is a great explanation from ChatGPT on freehold and leasehold properties. I think generally, if you plan to buy a freehold, you are quite safe. But if you're getting a leasehold, then you might need to figure these out when the time comes. Well, it's always a Malaysian stigma over here, you know, when buying a property, leasehold, freehold, and I don't know, to me, I'll just buy freehold. So, yeah.
Yeah, I totally get that. There's a lot of peace of mind with freehold since it's just yours indefinitely. And yeah, the stigma's real. So many people prefer freehold for the long-term security. Just make sure whatever you decide, you understand all the costs and risks up front. Then you can move forward with more confidence.
Cool, thanks. See you guys in the next one.
You're very